Chapter 29:18. Dragon Palace's Shocking Decision. 3-inch Territorial Lord. How strong is the Dragon King? In the sky above the desolate planet, an emperor god looked down at the Dragon Palace in the ocean and asked the Territorial Lord curiously. The rest of the emperor gods also looked at the Territorial Lord. The rapid rise of the Dragon Palace and the destruction of two major forces in the bedazzling star region made many people say that the Dragon Palace was the strongest force in the bedazzling star region. As emperor gods of the Lioli region, they were curious about the strength of the Dragon Palace, even though they didn't say anything. Was the Dragon Palace really stronger than them? The Dragon King should be on the same level as me, the Territorial Lord said after pondering for a while. He could sense a trace of Wuxia's aura. In that case, with the addition of the Divine Dragon, the Dragon Palace is really strong, an emperor god said with flickering eyes. To be able to destroy two major forces and force the 8 desolations to flee, the Dragon Palace is really something. The few emperor gods at the side also sighed. The Dragon King and the rest are out. Such speed. The Dragon Palace is really strong in terms of arrays. At this moment, they saw Wuxia leading a group of experts out of the ocean and exclaimed, 21 underlings and 20 emperor gods. The emperor gods from the Lioli region looked over with glistening eyes. The Territorial Lord revealed a smile. He had brought 20 emperor gods with him. It was the right decision to ask for help from the Dragon Palace. With such strength, the Lioli region would be able to survive this crisis safely. Welcome, brothers from the Dragon Palace. The Territorial Lord and the rest welcomed Wuxia and the rest as they flew over. You're too kind. Devilish 8 branches took the lead and responded. Then, the emperor gods from the Dragon Palace looked around curiously. Everyone, our Lioli region has prepared a sumptuous banquet. Let's talk about the next step after the banquet. The Territorial Lord invited. All right. Wuxia nodded his head and followed the Territorial Lord and the rest towards the continental plate ahead. At this moment, Wuxia and the rest exclaimed. Metal lump from the Mechanic Emperor region, go to hell. Just then, one of the emperor gods behind the Territorial Master revealed a cold look in his eyes. He moved and flew towards the void in front of him. Bam! A stream of flame energy hit a spot in the void, making a sound of collision. One of the invisible detection devices was destroyed. Humph! Emperor God Luli humphed coldly and waved her arm again. Bam bam bam. The sound of collision rang out again. One by one, the invisible detection devices were destroyed and fell to the ground. These are the machines of the Mechanic Emperor's domain. They have powerful detection abilities. They hide in the spatial cracks to investigate the surroundings. Ordinary god kings won't be able to sense them. The situation on our side has been completely investigated by them. The domain lord looked over and said indifferently, "Oh, that's quite powerful. Even if you're discovered, you can still detect some situations." Wuxia raised his eyebrows and said. The region master nodded. Such a thing? Roving Crab, who was behind Wuxia, waved his arm when he saw the detection devices falling onto the ground. 5 detection devices flew towards him. What's wrong, Roving Crab? Did you discover anything? Prime Minister Turtle asked Aosia curiously. This material? Aosia took out a machine and sensed it, his eyes flashing. The next moment, he opened his mouth and bit it. Crunch! Crunch! Roving Crab took a bite and tasted it. The emperor gods from the Azure region were taken aback as they looked at him with astonishment. Not bad. However, Aosia's next sentence caused the god emperors of Luli region to be stunned. TSK TSK TSK. The taste is good and the energy is abundant. Dragon King, this thing will be extremely useful to our devouring dragon. Roving Crab said to Wuxia with beaming eyes. Oh, Wuxia raised his eyebrows. All the machines in the Mechanic Emperor's domain are a special life form. A life form that is integrated with the metal material. This will be very useful to the devouring dragon? Yes, Dragon King. These machines are similar to the Holy Nation and will be very useful to us. TSK TSK. What a feast. As Roving Crab spoke, he looked at the battleships and mechanical army of the Mechanic Emperor's domain with fervent eyes. Wang Xian's eyes flickered. At the side, the group of emperor gods from Liuli region did not understand what they were talking about. What did they mean? The machines in the mechanic emperor's domain could be eaten? And they could increase their strength after eating them? Let's talk about this later. Region Lord, let's go. Wang Xian said to Roving Crab before following the region lord to the war continent. After a 2-hour banquet, Wang Xian did not respond to whether the Dragon Palace would help them deal with the Mechanic Emperor's domain or the Enchantment region. After the banquet, they went straight to the Dragon Palace. Let's discuss whether we should help the Azure region against the Mechanic Emperor's domain or the Enchantment region. Since we are here, we are not here for the rewards from the Azure region. Instead, we are here for more information. Originally, we were planning to hunt demons. Now that the machines in the Mechanic Emperor's domain are resources for the Devouring Dragon clan to evolve, we can choose. Sitting on the dragon throne, Wang Xian said to Prime Minister Turtle and the rest. They were ready to discuss the Dragon Palace's next move. Dragon King, let's fight the Mechanic Emperor's domain. All the machines in the Mechanic Emperor's domain are energy for our Devouring Dragon to evolve. How many robots are there in the entire Mechanic Emperor's domain? If our Devouring Dragon devours all of them, we will be able to improve tremendously. Roving Crab roared excitedly. Hey, Brother Crab. I was thinking of improving my strength to the Second Order Void God Emperor realm. Yamada no Orochi said discontentedly. 8 heads, shut up. Roving Crab stared at him. If not for your many subordinates, I would have killed you. 8 heads pouted and did not dare to be arrogant in front of Roving Crab. Roving Crab had millions of subordinates, and 2 of them had the combat power of a First Order God Emperor. Dragon King, didn't you negotiate with the Azure Region Lord and the rest? The corpses of the demons they hunt will belong to our Dragon Palace. Our Dragon Palace will guard this area for them. We can kill the robots and improve our Devouring Dragon. The corpses of the demons killed by the Azure region will eventually be sent to us. Prime Minister Turtle said. Although Prime Minister Turtle had not reached the God Emperor realm, he was still the second in command in the Dragon Palace. Moreover, Prime Minister Turtle was considering the future development of the Dragon Palace. If we fight against the robots, it won't be as simple as guarding this area for them. Wang Xian's eyes flickered as he said faintly. The Mechanic Emperor's domain is the enemy of humans. As long as they have the strength, they will invade all living beings. Why don't we sweep them clean? Prime Minister Turtle said. Information flashed in the cold pupils of the Master of Creation, and it was filled with coldness. Buzz. At this moment, he looked in one direction and slowly stood up. Dense amounts of data appeared in his eyes. He was looking at the planet where the Dragon Palace was located. Dragon roars resounded throughout the Colored Glaze region and the Mechanic Emperor region. In the center of the confrontation between the armies of these 2 regions, it was filled with unscrupulousness. 9 divine wind dragons were pulling a dragon throne in the center. Wang Xian sat on the dragon throne, surrounded by dozens of emperor gods from the Dragon Palace. As for the other Dragon Palace emperor gods, they were hidden among the members of Dragon Palace. At the rear 5 million experts of Dragon Palace exuded a terrifying aura. With the Devouring Dragon as the leader, they had 18 razor-sharp claws, and their bodies ranged from 2,000 meters to 10,000 meters. They were filled with the stench of blood and desolation. The group of experts from Dragon Palace flew towards the front of the Liuli region's war continent. That's the army of Dragon Palace. They are here. SSS, what a terrifying aura. Most of the experts from Dragon Palace are not humans, but their aura is so terrifying. So strong. Just this aura alone is enough to make one tremble. How many experts did Dragon Palace send this time? Is that the Divine Dragon in the center? The legendary Divine Dragon? The soldiers of the Liuli region were shocked when they heard the roar of the Divine Wind Dragon. Around them, millions of eyes looked in the direction of the army of Dragon Palace. In the middle of the void, the Domain Master and the other Emperor gods also looked over, their eyes gleaming. Roar, roar! The Divine Dragon roared, swaying its body as it rushed over. 25 Emperor Gods doesn't seem to be a lot, but the strength of the disciples from Dragon Palace is so terrifying. None of them is lower than a 4th-order immortal god king. The number of Emperor Gods from Dragon Palace is less than we expected. Did they hide their strength on purpose? But the strength of their disciples is really terrifying. There are at least 1.5 million of them. The weakest is a 4th-order immortal god king, and there are more than 1 million of them. Our Lioli region can't compare to them in terms of God-King realm strength. The group of Emperor Gods looked at the terrifying army of Dragon Palace with shock in their eyes. Even the Domain Master's eyes flickered. Dragon Palace is still hiding their strength, but I can't sense how much they are hiding. The Domain Master said solemnly, "They are still hiding their strength. Could there be a God Emperor hidden in the army?" The Lioli region's Emperor Gods widened their eyes in shock. The Domain Master nodded slowly. His cultivation had already reached the 3rd-order God Emperor realm, and he could vaguely sense that there were God Emperors hidden in the army of Dragon Palace. But he could only sense them clearly by releasing his divine sense. Clearly, he could not do such a provocative thing. Dragon Palace's God King realm army is quite terrifying. The Domain Master couldn't help but comment, after a few seconds of silence. The God King realm army had completely exceeded their expectations. How terrifying. SSS, look at the group of experts behind Dragon Palace. Why do I feel that none of them are weaker than me? A 4th-order immortal king realm soldier from Lioli region couldn't help but growl. His words caused the hearts of all the soldiers to tremble. Dragon King. The Domain Master made a move and headed towards Wuxia and the rest. She shouted from afar, as she sized up the 9 wind divine dragons. She was shocked. "Domain Master, leave this to our Dragon Palace," Wuxia said to him. "All right." The Domain Master nodded and looked around. All soldiers and disciples of Lioli region, retreat 100 million kilometers and prepare to leave. He immediately shouted in a deep voice. "Yes, Domain Master." The voices of the soldiers could be heard from the surroundings. "Dragon Palace, are you really going to participate in the war between us and Lioli region?" Suddenly, from the direction of the Mechanic Emperor's domain, a mechanical voice pierced through the void and resounded in the surroundings. "Huh?" Wuxia squinted his eyes when he heard the voice. He stood up slowly and looked towards the source of the voice. The Yin-Yang 5 Elements dragon's eyes flickered as it stared at the figure on the huge battleship billions of kilometers away. Both of them looked at each other from afar. The error-free chapters of the Invincible Divine Dragon Cultivation System will continue to be updated on the mobile game bar. There will be no advertisements on the website. Please bookmark and recommend the mobile game bar. Please bookmark the Invincible Divine Dragon Cultivation System. Invincible Divine Dragon Cultivation System. Chapter 29-22. Conquering the Mechanic Emperor Domain 2. The creator was at least 3 to 4 meters tall when he stood up. His entire body was emitting golden radiance, and his chest was inlaid with gems that contained immense energy. He wore golden gloves on his arms, and the gloves were also inlaid with dazzling gems. His cold eyes were filled with killing intent as he stared at Wuxia. "Hehe, so what if I join in?" Wuxia stared at the creator and asked plainly, "Then you will pay for everything that happened today." The creator's mechanical voice was filled with coldness. "Creator, if the Lioli region wasn't threatened by the Qi region, would you dare to be so arrogant here?" The Domain Master turned around, stared at the creator, and said with a murderous look, "Sooner or later, the Lioli region will be included in my territory, and all humans will become members of my biochemical army." The creator stared at the Domain Master and replied coldly, "I have to say, Creator, you are really arrogant. How dare you speak so arrogantly in front of the Dragon Palace and the Lioli region?" Wuxia squinted his eyes and said to him, "Because my men are not afraid of death." The creator replied plainly, "The robots were not afraid of death and would obey his orders 100%. Now that the Lioli region was threatened by the Qi region, they couldn't join forces with the Dragon Palace to attack the Mechanic Emperor domain at this time. Even if the Lioli region and the Dragon Palace could defeat them together, this battle would take at least a few months, or even longer. The Lioli region wouldn't dare to be on their side for a long time. Secondly, as he said, his men were not afraid of death, but the Lioli region and the Dragon Palace were different. If the two forces attacked them, the creator was confident that they would suffer heavy losses. According to the calculation of his artificial intelligence, the possibility of the other party joining forces to attack them was only 3%. That damn metal lump is really arrogant. It can't be helped. The Mechanic Emperor domain is much more troublesome than the Qi region. This damned creator has absolute control. All his men obey his orders 100% and are not afraid of death. As long as he has the resources, he can create them quickly. The robots are deformed, and everything they do is to serve the creator. When the retreating soldiers and disciples of the Lioli region heard the conversation between the leaders of the three peak forces of the resplendent starry sky, their expressions turned ugly. To the colored glaze region, the Mechanic Emperor domain was like an iron lump that was difficult to chew. Exchanging one person's life for the lives of 100 robots was not worth it in their eyes. Androids could be created at any time, but humans only had one life. Oh, really? Let's see if you're afraid of death. Upon hearing him, Wang Xian raised his eyebrows slightly. As soon as he finished speaking, the 9 wind divine dragons roared. All the members of the Dragon Palace stared in the direction of the Mechanic Emperor region, staring at the countless mechanical legions. When the creator, who was billions of kilometers away, heard Wang Xian's words, he frowned slightly. Information flashed across his eyes as he calculated the meaning of his words. All disciples of Dragon Palace, get ready. Prime Minister Turtle stood beside AO2 in the middle of the rear and roared. In the next moment, all the devouring dragons, berserk dragons, and imperial dragons let out a roar. A strong fighting spirit charged forward. What is Dragon Palace trying to do? What's going on? Are the Emperor gods of the colored glaze region going to attack the army of the Mechanic Emperor domain with Dragon Palace? It's highly possible. You should know that Dragon Palace has sent many experts this time. Maybe our domain master has discussed with the Dragon King to take them down a notch. That's really possible. After all, we lost 5 Emperor gods because of this group of people from the Mechanic Emperor domain. At the back, everyone could feel the terrifying might of Dragon Palace. They were slightly shocked and couldn't help but comment. However, their speculation made some senior generals frown slightly. They hadn't received any notice about this. If they wanted to take down the notch of the Mechanic Emperor domain, they should have taken action as well. Attack! Kill! Before anyone could think further, Wang Xian stood on the dragon throne and gave the order to attack. In the next moment, with the Emperor gods of the Dragon Palace leading the charge, 5 million god kings of the Dragon Palace charged towards the mechanical army of the Mechanic Emperor domain. The 9 divine dragons let out a roar and flew to the flanks of the Dragon Palace's army. Wang Xian squinted his eyes and followed closely behind the Dragon Palace's army. What? Dragon Palace is charging over directly. Our domain master didn't follow them. All the soldiers of the colored glaze region were shocked when they saw Dragon Palace attacking the Mechanic Emperor domain and their Emperor gods not taking action. Could it be that Dragon Palace wants to fight against the Mechanic Emperor domain alone? All the soldiers were shocked. Dragon Palace, how dare you challenge the Mechanic Emperor domain? Alright, all the mechanical army attack. The master creator calculated all the possibilities in his mind, but still couldn't figure out why Dragon Palace would attack them. However, at this moment, he stopped calculating and gave the order to attack angrily. Ka. In the next moment, the sound of machinery turning was heard and countless cannon holes were opened. Boom boom boom. Boom boom boom. The whole process took less than a second. In the next moment, millions of huge battleships released terrifying attacks. Countless flame bombs, wind bombs, and lightning pillars lit up the entire starry sky and bombarded all the members of Dragon Palace. The master creator snorted and slammed a button in front of him. The battleships tens of millions of kilometers below him let out a roar. A black hole-like attack shrouded the Dragon Palace. All members of Dragon Palace attack. Imperial dragon species defend the front. Prime Minister Turtle ordered loudly. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Boom, boom, boom. In the next moment, the arrows of the arrow dragon species, the crimson energy of the berserk dragon species, and the black-yellow flames of the devouring dragon met with countless cannons. The sky formation was in the center. He stared at the horrifying black hole in front of him and quickly set up an array to meet the black hole. Rumble. Immediately after, when the countless mechanical army of the Mechanic Emperor domain collided with the attacks of the Dragon Palace experts, the entire void seemed to tremble. A wave of apocalyptic energy rose from the center of the collision. The void cracked like a mirror. This collision was earth-shattering. Hiss, the first round of attacks collided. The world seems to be trembling. The war between them has begun. What's going on? Is this a probing attack or what? All the soldiers of the Lioli region were shocked. The war had broken out just like that. However, the main character wasn't the Lioli region. What they wanted to know now was whether this was a probing attack. Tomorrow at 8. Tonight at midnight for more updates. Thank all the brothers for their support. Asking for monthly votes. Chapter 29-23. In the first round of collisions, all the cannonballs were blocked by the experts from Dragon Palace. The countless cannonballs did not harm a single member under the bombardment and defense of the experts from Dragon Palace. On both sides, the 9 wind divine dragons let out a violent roar. They moved and charged towards the warships in front of them with terrifying speed. Boom, boom, boom. The warships in front of them saw the terrifying speed of the 9 wind divine dragons and immediately fired their cannons. Under the illumination of the cannonballs, their huge wings and green dragon scales shone brightly. However, as the wind divine dragons, 3 of them possessed the terrifying strength of a second-order void god emperor. They swayed their bodies and easily dodged the attacks. Even if they were hit, the dragon scales on their bodies could easily defend against the attacks. Those are the divine dragons, the legendary wind divine dragons. On the largest warship, the Master Creator's eyes flickered as he stared at the 9 wind divine dragons. He looked at the analysis of the artificial intelligence in his mind with an ugly expression. Sir Creator, there aren't many warships that can threaten the 9 divine dragons, especially 3 of them. We need to use your Mechanic Emperor warship to deal with them. If we want to kill them, we need Sir Creator to act. The voice of his subordinate was transmitted into his mind. He snorted coldly and swept his cold gaze across the 3 wind divine dragons. However, he did not act because he could sense that the Dragon King of the Dragon Palace had locked onto him. Currently, he was not ready for battle. At the very least, he did not send all the legions from the Mechanic Emperor domain over. This time, he merely sent 3/5 of his forces. Mechanic Emperor warship, Black Demon Flame, track and kill. The Master Creator stood there and coldly commanded. Ka. Following his command, many huge cannon holes appeared hundreds of kilometers behind him. The cannon holes emitted a black luster and locked onto the 3 second-order Void God Emperor Wind Divine Dragons. Wung wung wung. A unique sound was heard as 3 streaks of black light shot towards the 3 Divine Wind Dragons. The 3 Wind Divine Dragons immediately felt a threat. They stared at the Black Demon Flame and flapped their wings slightly. Boom boom boom. In the next moment, gusts of hurricanes formed around them and condensed into numerous divine wind dragons that charged at the Black Demon Flame. Bam bam bam. Bam bam bam. A terrifying collision sound could be heard, and the expressions of the creators on the Mechanic Emperor ship turned solemn. As expected of the legendary divine dragon, he said coldly, "Kill." At this time, the roars of the Dragon Palace could be heard. The 1.5 million strong army of the Dragon Palace, led by a group of Emperor gods, had already arrived in front of the Mechanic Emperor District's battleship army. Scatter and destroy these battleships. Devour all the battleships. Turtle Chancellor and Aosia gave their orders. All the devouring dragons stared at the huge warships with fervent eyes, their eyes filled with excitement. They were like hungry wolves pouncing forward directly. Retreat. The creator sensed and analyzed the power of the Dragon Palace and gave an order. This order was given in the next moment. Release flash. A message was transmitted to all the battleships of the Mechanic Emperor District. Swoosh. The next moment, rays of dazzling brilliance suddenly rose in front of all the battleships. This brilliance caused the entire space to be white, and there was no other color. Rumble, rumble, rumble. As the white light shone, all the battleships retreated towards the depths of the Mechanic Emperor district at an extremely fast speed. Rumble, rumble, rumble. The white light affected the vision of the members of the Dragon Palace. However, the Wind Divine Dragon and the others swayed their huge bodies, and countless wind blades swept across thousands of battleships. The thousands of battleships emitted sparks and shook in the void. Dragon Palace, just you wait. The creator's eyes swept across the destroyed battleships, and his eyes were filled with murderous intent. They are retreating. The army of the Mechanic Emperor district is retreating. Ha ha ha, impressive. I have to say that the Dragon Palace is very strong. They forced the army of the Mechanic Emperor district to retreat. I guess the creator also knows that they are no match for us and the Dragon Palace. They are afraid. At the back, the soldiers of the Lioli region saw the battleships of the Mechanic Emperor district retreating, and they smiled and discussed excitedly. No, look, the army of the Dragon Palace is still chasing. What's going on? The Dragon Palace is still chasing the army of the Mechanic Emperor district? What is the Dragon Palace trying to do? However, everyone was shocked to find that the Dragon Palace did not stop, even though the army of the Mechanic Emperor district was retreating. Instead, they were still chasing. What is the Dragon Palace trying to do? What is the Dragon Palace trying to do? When the creator saw the million-strong army of the Dragon Palace chasing closely behind, his pupils shrank slightly, and a cold look appeared in his eyes. He stared at everyone from the Dragon Palace. Attack! His eyes flashed with all kinds of information, and his orders were directly transmitted to each of his subordinates. Boom, boom, boom. Countless cannons covered everyone from the Dragon Palace. However, their attacks only slowed down the speed of the Dragon Palace by a little, but they did not stop. In particular, the 9 Wind Divine Dragons relied on their terrifying speed to attack with their huge wings and claws. One warship after another flipped over in the void and was destroyed. Every time a battleship was destroyed, the hideous creatures with 18 claws would pounce over and eat the huge battleship. This made the creator's eyes filled with anger. With the calculation of his brain, he made consecutive miscalculations. Until now, he still couldn't figure out why the Dragon Palace dared to chase after them. Were they courting death? Or did they think that the Mechanic Emperor district was easy to bully? SSS. The Dragon Palace has already chased into the territory of the Mechanic Emperor district. They haven't stopped yet. I can't even see now. What's going on? The Dragon Palace is going to attack the Mechanic Emperor district? Attack the Mechanic Emperor district? This is impossible, right? With the strength of the Dragon Palace, can they do that? You should know that the Mechanic Emperor district did not send all their forces this time. All the soldiers from the Lioli region looked at the void in front of them. The Dragon Palace had completely disappeared from their sight. Let all the soldiers retreat. In the void in front of the war continent, the region master said to the surrounding emperor gods. It's the region master. All the emperor gods looked at the void in front of them with glistening eyes. Even though they knew that the Dragon Palace was going to attack the Mechanic Emperor district, they were still shocked to see it with their own eyes. Boss Wang is really fierce. It's a pity that this battle is too brutal. I dare not go over. Invincible Battle Law stood at the side and couldn't help but sigh. Chapter 29-24. Conquest of the Mechanic Emperor Domain 4-inch. The army of the Dragon Palace has come to reinforce our Lioli region. The Dragon King will lead a group of experts to attack the robot army and chase them into the Mechanic Emperor domain. When all the soldiers at the border between the Colored Glaze region and the Mechanic Emperor region retreated, the news of what had happened here had already spread on the artificial brain of the Colored Glaze region. When the people of the Lioli region learned that the Dragon Palace had come to support them, they were filled with gratitude. They were also shocked by the Dragon Palace's direct invasion of the Mechanic Imperial domain. Soon they saw that annoying guy Invincible Battle Mage sent a message. The Dragon King has personally led the Dragon Palace's experts to attack the Mechanic Emperor domain. It won't be long before the Mechanic Emperor domain is swept away. This time, the message wasn't long, and it wasn't filled with sarcasm. When the citizens saw the information about the invincible battle technique, they were in disbelief. The Dragon Palace wants to attack the Mechanic Emperor domain? Aren't they helping us guard the border? Why is the Dragon Palace attacking the Mechanic Emperor domain? Is this for real? Was what Invincible battle technique said true? The Dragon Palace wants to invade the Mechanic Emperor domain? Hiss, it can't be. Even our Lioli region found it hard to destroy the Mechanic Emperor region. Does the Dragon Palace have the strength to do so? If we attack them, how many losses will the Dragon Palace suffer? Guarding the borders and going to the Mechanic Emperor domain were two different things. The guards only needed to act as a deterrent. However, the expedition to the Mechanic Emperor domain was a Starfield war, a vast war. In such a war, the casualties would be calculated in the hundreds of billions. In particular, not only was the Mechanic Emperor's domain not weak, but it was also very strong. Did he have the strength to attack the Dragon Palace? Do you think that the Dragon Palace will be as weak as the Lioli region? Just wait for the news. It won't be long before all the robots are destroyed. But soon Invincible Fighter started another debate. He began to ridicule the entire Lioli region. But this time, the good thing was that it was related to the Dragon Palace. After all, the Dragon Palace had come to help the Lioli region. Other than saying that the Dragon Palace was invincible, they didn't say anything bad about the Dragon Palace. Soon, everyone in the Lioli territory was guessing the strength of the Dragon Palace. Could the Dragon Palace really sweep through the Mechanic Emperor domain? The Dragon Palace could defeat the robots? As they did not know the specifics of the situation, they could only make various guesses. Some said that the Dragon Palace could defeat the Mechanic Imperial region, and some said that the Dragon Palace might really be stronger than the Lioli region, but some didn't believe it. The entire Lioli region's AI was bustling with activity. Boom, boom, boom. At this moment, the main character of their discussion was chasing after the robot army. The army of battleships, mechas and fighter jets that spanned more than 1 billion kilometers quickly flew toward the depths of the Mechanic Emperor's domain. Endless artillery fire was fired continuously at the rear. The army of Dragon Palace was in hot pursuit. I really didn't expect that the Dragon Palace would actually want to attack our Mechanic Emperor region and our mechs. How dare they? Dragon Palace, you actually dared to provoke us. In that case, we'll let you experience the cannon fire and punishment of our Mechanic Emperor region. On the Mechanic Emperor ship, the murderous intent in the eyes of the Master Creator intensified as he watched the Dragon Palace chase after them for half an hour. In this half an hour, he had thoroughly analyzed all the forces of the Dragon Palace. In his opinion, this force was very strong, not much weaker than their Mechanic Emperor's domain. However, it would be a big mistake to attack them with just this force alone. He wanted the Dragon Palace to pay a heavy price. That strange creature can actually increase its strength by devouring my people. What a unique existence. The legendary Divine Dragon. In the past, I still wanted to hunt a Divine Dragon for research. I didn't expect you to come here on your own. A peak bloodline race in the universe will definitely be able to improve my technology. It might even be able to free me from the shackles of machinery. Since the Dragon Palace wants to attack us, let's fight. Even if the Mechanic Emperor region suffers a huge loss this time, as long as we can obtain the body of a Divine Dragon, it will be worth it. Hahaha, Mechanic Emperor region, all the mechs, my people, kill them all, kill them all. Slowly, the eyes of the Master Creator revealed a ferocious and excited look. He couldn't help but roar. When he knew that the Dragon Palace had divine dragons, he had coveted the bloodline of the peak race in the universe, the Divine Dragon. However, the Dragon Palace was already very strong at that time. Now that the other party dared to invade them, that was great. Kill. Even if they had to pay a huge price. As long as they could kill 1 or 2 divine dragons, it would not be a loss. He stood on the Mechanic Emperor ship, and data flashed in his eyes. At the same time, signals were also transmitted to the Mechanic Emperor region. Beep, beep, beep. Order of the Master Creator, convert to war mode. All mechs, enter the mechanical planet, and head to the designated location. Order of the Master Creator, convert to war mode. All mechs, enter the mechanical planet, and head to the designated location. At this moment, all the mechs in the entire Mechanic Emperor region, and on the mechanical planet located in various parts of the star field stopped moving. An order was transmitted into their minds, and their eyes slowly turned red. Yes, order of the Master Creator. Yes, order of the Master Creator. The next moment, all the mechs responded in unison. Boom, boom, boom. Following that, the planet they were on let out a loud roar. All the mechs immediately flew to the center of the mechanical planet. There, a huge platform rose, and on it, all kinds of mechanical weapons were placed. All the mechs turned into warriors and rode on the mechanical planet, flying toward the direction of the Master Creator. Tens of thousands of mechanical planets, hundreds of billions of mechs, all rushed toward the Master Creator. At the same time, in the center of the Mechanic Emperor region, the mechanical planet, that had a diameter of hundreds of millions of kilometers, was surrounded by 18 smaller mechanical planets. They also started moving. On this mechanical planet, there were 2 million-meter-long mechs. One was a mechanical creature that looked like a falcon. They stared coldly at the void in front of them, and all kinds of data flashed in their eyes. The entire Mechanic Emperor region started moving. All the mechs' power was activated, and they flew toward the Master Creator. It was majestic, and it was shocking. Hee. When the Master Creator saw the entire Mechanic Emperor region moving, his face revealed a cold expression. He stared at all the people from the Dragon Palace, who were chasing after him, and sneered. After chasing for such a long time, the rest of the mech armies in the Mechanic Emperor region should have converged on the Master Creator. At this moment, behind the members of the Dragon Palace, Wuxia floated in the air, locking onto the Master Creator. Currently the Emperor God hidden in the 1.5 million strong army of the Dragon Palace still had not made a move. He was waiting. Chapter 29-25. Conquering the Mechanic Emperor Domain 5. Wuxia was waiting for the arrival of all the legions of the Mechanic Emperor Domain. With his current strength, he could definitely catch up to the robot army in front of him, and catch up to the creators. But he didn't do so. According to the information he got from the Lioli domain, although the Creator couldn't escape to his holy kingdom directly, he had a very heaven-defying ability. He was able to transfer his memories to any of the automatons. In other words, he could abandon his own body and transfer to other androids and machines. After the transfer, he could still mobilize the entire robot army. If the Dragon Palace were to display all its strength and annihilate all the robot army in front, the Creator would definitely escape, and Wuxia wouldn't be able to stop him. After the Creator escaped, he would definitely order the rest of the robots to protect him and escape from the pursuit of the Dragon Palace. In this case, it would be good if the Dragon Palace could annihilate half of the robots in the Mechanic Emperor domain. Therefore, Wuxia was waiting for all the robots in the Mechanic Emperor domain to rush over, or the moment the Creator and the rest escaped to the center of the Mechanic Emperor domain to counterattack. At the front, the Wind Divine Dragons roared. From time to time, battleships were destroyed by them. At the back, the Devouring Dragons flew over and devoured the battleships. These battleships were made of a special kind of biometal, the same material used to build robots. Battleships could also be considered another type of robot. To the Devouring Dragons, this was an energy boost. In this half an hour of pursuit, the Wind Divine Dragons had destroyed more than 2,000 battleships, which increased the combat power of the thousands of Devouring Dragons to another level. The chase was still going on. Wuxia wasn't in a hurry. The Creator wasn't in a hurry either. At this moment he closed his eyes, searched the star map of the Mechanic Emperor domain in his mind, and was giving out orders. He wanted to surround everyone in the Dragon Palace and make them suffer heavy losses. Even if he couldn't destroy the Dragon Palace, he wanted to inflict heavy damage. Time passed slowly. It had been a day since the Dragon Palace chased after the robot army. To the members of the Dragon Palace, a day's time wasn't the slightest bit tired. As a divine dragon, their physique was enough to support them in battles for a few years. Moreover, the members of the Dragon Palace didn't use their strongest moves. Hehe. At this moment, the Master of Creation, who was sitting in the Mechanic Emperor's ship with his eyes closed, opened his eyes and revealed a cold smile. His eyes scanned the seats on both sides, and his eyes sparkled. Let's make Dragon Palace pay the price right here. In order to prevent you from escaping back to the Divine Kingdom in an instant, I have prepared a great gift for you. As the Master of Creation spoke, he stood up slowly and flew towards the front of the Mechanic Emperor ship. Boom boom boom. At this moment, planets flew over at a terrifying speed from the left and right sides. The planets on the left were all emitting blazing flames, and the one in the center was a blazing sun. On the right, there were many planets that exuded extremely cold temperatures. Goldfisher Scarlet Sun, an extreme ice white dwarf. These terrifying natural stars in the universe emit a temperature that can threaten God-King experts. The Creator stared at the two gigantic planets and smiled. Behind these flaming and icy planets were the mechanical armies of the Mechanic Emperor's domain. On those mechanical planets stood countless androids. They held various weapons in their hands and stared coldly at the front. At the same time, when the Goldfisher Scarlet Sun, an extreme ice white dwarf, appeared on both sides, Wang Xian had already sensed it. He squinted his eyes and scanned both sides. All members of the Dragon Palace, stop. Wang Xian ordered with flickering eyes. Yes, Dragon King. One by one, the members of Dragon Palace immediately stopped their attacks and stopped moving. Similarly, they swept their eyes across both sides. Dragon King, the mechanical armies of the Mechanic Emperor's domain should be here. Tianjin flew to Wang Xian's side with a compass in his hand and said with a smile. On his compass, they were surrounded by densely packed red dots. The number of red dots was uncountable. Almost. Since they have set up an ambush here, they should have mobilized at least 90% of their strength. Those Goldfisher Scarlet Sun, an extreme ice white dwarf, should be there to prevent the members of the Dragon Palace from escaping back to their divine kingdom. Wang Xian said plainly with a smile on his face. When an expert wanted to return to his divine kingdom instantly, he couldn't be attacked at this moment. Once he was attacked, he would be interrupted. The extreme heat and cold emitted by the Goldfisher Scarlet Sun, an extreme ice white dwarf, would affect the entire void, causing the aura of the void to be unstable. Under such circumstances, it would take longer to prepare to escape back to his divine kingdom. However, this also meant that the Mechanic Emperor's domain was prepared to fight to the death with the Dragon Palace. This was exactly what they wanted. Dragon Palace, since you want to hunt down my mechanical armies, let's settle this here. All mechanical armies attack. The Master of Creation saw the Dragon Palace army suddenly stop, and thought that they were afraid. With a stern look, he immediately ordered loudly. Boom boom boom. As soon as he gave the order, the dozens of Golden Rift Scarlet Suns, and Arctic White Dwarfs suddenly sped up and charged towards them. Blast! At the same time, the mechanical armies began their counterattack. From where the members of the Dragon Palace were standing, they could see countless rays, cannons, and missiles flying towards them. On both sides, the Goldfisher Scarlet Sun, and Extreme Ice White Dwarf gradually split apart, when they were hundreds of millions of kilometers away from the members of the Dragon Palace. Boom boom boom. Endless flaming meteorites and icy meteorites rushed towards the members of the Dragon Palace. The extreme heat and cold caused cracks to appear in the space they were in. The entire space was unstable. The flaming meteorites and icy meteorites didn't cause any harm to the members of the Dragon Palace. Their main purpose was to disrupt the starry sky and prevent the members of the Dragon Palace from escaping. Let's begin. All Emperor Gods, lock onto your targets. Don't let them escape. The devouring dragon prioritizes battle. After this battle is won, devour the spoils of war. Wang Xian's eyes shone with a strong fighting spirit. He swept his gaze across the surrounding meteorites, smiled faintly and ordered. Yes, Dragon King. At this moment, the eyes of the 51 Emperor Gods of the Dragon Palace shone with a violent fighting spirit as they answered loudly. Chapter 29-26, Conquering the Mechanic Emperor Domain 6-inch. Hahaha. Master Creator, let this Dragon King challenge you today. Let me see your strength. In the depths of the Mechanic Emperor Domain, there were countless mechanical planets, battleships, mechas, and androids. Wang Xian stared at the largest battleship in the distance, the Master Creator on the Mechanic Emperor ship. His eyes were filled with fighting spirit. According to the information from the Colored Glaze region, the strength of the Master Creator had reached the Third Order God Emperor realm. As for the Colored Glaze region master, he believed that the strength of the Master Creator was weaker than him. Hence, Wang Xian was confident that he could kill the Master Creator. He stared at the Master Creator and smiled. The unbeginning saint wings appeared on his back as he charged forward at a terrifying speed. Dragon King of the Dragon Palace. The eyes of the Master Creator on the Mechanic Emperor ship were filled with chilliness. He moved, clenched his fist and punched towards the void. Ka. The gems on his arm shone with a dazzling luster. A fist condensed from lightning bolts blasted towards Wang Xian. Whoosh! Wang Xian flapped his wings slightly and dodged the attack of the Master Creator with ease. In the blink of an eye, he arrived before the Mechanic Emperor ship. What? Such terrifying speed. It's 5 times faster than me. The Master Creator saw Wang Xian dodging his attack with ease. His pupils calculated Wang Xian's speed, and his expression changed. He stared at Wang Xian, who was charging towards him, and waved his arm. Ka. On the Mechanic Emperor ship below, countless cannon holes rose up. Da. Whoosh. A group of powerful cannons bombarded towards Wang Xian. Under the bombardment of these cannons, even a mosquito would be crushed. Special metallic bullets and lasers of various attributes were filled with destructive power. Master Creator, do you think you can stop me with your technological weapons? Wang Xian revealed a mocking expression. 2 dragon horns gradually grew out of his head. The dragon horns gave off light and darkness, and a Tai Chi diagram appeared in front of Wang Xian. Pung. All the attacks landed on the Tai Chi diagram, but they were easily blocked. Clang. The Dragon King is so powerful. The Creator's expression changed drastically, and he immediately retreated. A lightning sword that was more than 10 meters long appeared in his hand. Crackle. He swung his arm and bolts of lightning struck towards Wang Xian. Ka. Boom. At the same time, all the weapons on the Mechanic Emperor ship were aimed at Wang Xian. The entire Mechanical Emperor ship was powerful enough to kill a Second-Order God Emperor. However, such weapons were not of much use to Wang Xian. In front of him, all the attacks landed on the Tai Chi diagram, only causing some ripples. This Creator's attack isn't very strong either. Wang Xian raised his eyebrows slightly when he saw the attack of the thunderous longsword landing before him. If that's all you've got, Creator, then go to hell. Wang Xian shook his body and stretched out his right hand. Dragon Claw. With a low roar, his entire right arm transformed into a dragon claw. Dragon Country in a palm. Wang Xian let out another deep roar. His entire palm instantly expanded to the size of a few million kilometers. Bam! The entire dragon claw directly attacked the Mechanic Emperor warship below. Ka. Destructive energy landed on the Mechanic Emperor warship. The terrifying dragon claw penetrated the Mechanic Emperor warship. The strength of this Dragon King. The Creator stared at Wang Xian with a terrible expression. His mind was constantly calculating his chances of winning. Whoosh! At this moment, he saw the Dragon King charging towards him at a terrifying speed. The sky-covering dragon claw was heading towards him. Scram! The Creator growled, and a hole appeared on his chest. A round ball was launched towards Wang Xian's dragon claw. Boom! A terrifying force exploded in his dragon claw, causing the million-kilometer-long dragon claw to crumble. This is the attack of a Third-Order God Emperor realm expert. Wang Xian flung the blood off his palm and revealed a smile. Wang. In the next moment, his figure disappeared and reappeared 1,000 meters in front of the Creator. Such terrifying speed. The Creator's expression changed drastically as he roared. Bam! In the next moment, Wang Xian's palm landed on the body of the Creator. The terrifying power of the 5 elements caused his body to crumble. Oh no, my body is crumbling. This Dragon King is too strong. Transmit all the information. Transfer the brain to the creation star of the creator. The creator felt the terrifying energy that his body was withstanding. His eyes glowed red as he calculated continuously. Soon, the red light in his eyes disappeared, and his body lost all signs of life and vitality. Huh. Wang Xian was taken aback. He moved his palm and grabbed the body of the creator in his hand. This isn't his real body. His expression changed slightly as he looked around. Ka. Dragon King, you're courting death. At this moment, a deafening roar came from the front. At the same time, the sound of machinery operating could be heard. Huh. Wang Xian lifted his head and looked ahead. His eyes narrowed slightly. In front of him, there was a mechanical planet. A mechanical planet with a diameter of at least a few 100 million kilometers. Around this mechanical planet, there were 18 smaller planets floating in the air. However, at this moment the planet began to change. Just like the Transformers in the sci-fi movies, the entire mechanical planet turned into a humongous metal giant. What kind of existence was a giant with a diameter of a few 100 million kilometers? Around it, 18 planets the size of ordinary stars were revolving around this giant. Wang. At this moment, the two huge eyes of the giant shot out two lightning pillars. The lightning pillars spanned tens of millions of kilometers and came before Wang Xian in an instant. Huh. What a terrifying attack. This creator isn't as simple as the Lioli region thinks. Wang Xian narrowed his eyes. With a swift move, he dodged to the side. Ka. At this moment, Wang Xian saw pitch-black holes appearing on the 18 mechanical planets surrounding the mechanical giant. Rumble. From those holes, tracking bombs with a diameter of 100 kilometers were fired. The tracking bombs were headed straight for Wang Xian. This creator seems to be restraining my speed. Wang Xian squinted his eyes. Wang Xian's strongest point now was his speed. With his terrifying speed, he could hit his opponent before they could react and kill them instantly. Absolute speed was the most fearsome thing about absolute defense. Clearly, this humongous body of the creator was a little difficult to deal with. If that's the case, I don't have anything to hide. Dragon transformation. Wang Xian let out a low roar. Roar. A roar was heard. Today, 4 chapters will be released first. For more to go. Begging for monthly votes. Chapter 29-27. Conquering Mechanic Emperor Domain 7. Roar. A roar came from Wang Xian's mouth as a 7-colored divine dragon appeared in front of the giant creator. On the back of the 7-colored divine dragon was a pair of gigantic sacred wings. One of the wings gave off a green glow that didn't belong to the 7-colored divine dragon and was covered with dense dragon scales. The other one was made up of bones and had no wings, which made it look rather strange. However, the aura of the 30,000-meter-long divine dragon contained boundless might. What's this? Divine dragon? Why are there 8 attributes? What's going on? The giant creator stared at the tiny Wang Xian in front of him. His eyes flickered as he analyzed all sorts of data. Also, why did the Dragon Palace suddenly have so many Emperor God experts? The Dragon Palace purposely ordered me to send all the mechanical army over. They want to wipe us out in one fell swoop. Damn the Dragon Palace, damn the Dragon King. The creator's eyes flickered as he scanned the surroundings with rage burning in his heart. If he wasn't in his mechanical form, he would definitely look terrible. At this time, Wang Xian, who had transformed into a divine dragon, moved. He flapped his dragon wings and instantly appeared in front of the creator's chest. Ka. The moment Wang Xian arrived, a hole appeared in the creator's chest, and the magma-like law of fire rushed towards him. Wang Xian swayed his body and easily dodged the attack of the magma. Bam. The dragon tail swept across the waist of the creator. In an instant, sparks flew everywhere. A special liquid flowed out from it. Get lost, Dragon King. I'm going to kill you. The creator roared furiously as he smashed his gigantic fist towards Wang Xian. At this moment, Wang Xian's 30,000-meter tall body was huge. However, he was still tiny in front of the creator. This was like a human facing a monster the size of Earth. Creator, you're the one who's going to die today. Wang Xian's eyes were filled with disdain. He opened his dragon mouth and spat out a long river of destructive energy. Ka ka ka. The creator moved his arm, and a huge shield appeared on it, blocking the long river of destructive energy. Roar! Break! Wang Xian's figure flickered, and in an instant, he appeared at the thigh of the creator. His dragon claws grabbed at it. Bam bam bam. A huge mark that was tens of millions of kilometers long appeared on the creator's right leg. Metal parts could be seen inside. Damn Dragon King! Explode! A wave of boundless power rushed towards his body. The khaki-colored energy collided with Wang Xian. What kind of attack is this? Wang Xian was slightly taken aback. His body was repelled by the massive energy, and he kept flying backward. Roar! However, in the next instant, Wang Xian arrived above the Masters of Creation at a terrifying speed. The unbeginning sacred wings flapped, and a huge wind blade slashed at his head. Boom boom boom! Dazzling giant metal swords shot out from his head. The giant metal swords cut through the void and met the wind blade's head-on. Bam! The two terrifying attacks collided, causing the void to explode. Ka ka ka! But at this moment, Wang Xian flew to the back of the Master of Creation with a suppressive speed. His dragon claws slashed out a crack that was hundreds of millions of kilometers wide. Waves of light and dark energy entered the body of the Master of Creation. Beep beep beep. His body is severely damaged. The area of damage has reached 35%. The enemy in front of me is undefeatable. Undefeatable. The reminder rang in the mind of the Master of Creation, making him even more furious. Wang! Break! Hung long long long. All of a sudden, a voice came from the side, accompanied by a mighty force. Beep beep beep. 300 mechanical planets are damaged. 300 mechanical planets are damaged. 52. 1 billion robots have perished. Warning, warning, you have suffered an attack from a third-order God Emperor. At this moment, the reminder rang in the mind of the Master of Creation again. What? The massive body of the Master of Creation trembled, and he immediately looked to the side. He saw an old man floating in the middle of a few hundred mechanical planets in the Mechanic Emperor domain. Around him, 300 mechanical planets had lost their energy and were falling downwards. All the robots on the mechanical planets were killed. A third-order God Emperor realm expert. The Dragon Palace still has a third-order God Emperor realm expert. No wonder the Dragon Palace dares to charge in. The mechanical heart of the Master of Creation thumped violently, and rays of death rays shot out from his eyes. Ha ha, kill kill kill. Jia jia jia. Kill this group of things that are neither human nor ghost. By the side the 1.5 million experts of the Dragon Palace were shuttling through the mechanical army. The number of mechanical soldiers was tens of thousands of times that of the Dragon Palace. But in front of the experts of the Dragon Palace, they could not resist at all. The berserk dragons of the 200,000 strong army were fighting against the biohuman army of the Master of Creation. The biohumans could not feel pain or fear. They only knew how to fight. However, the Masters of Creation's most elite biohuman army couldn't resist the berserk dragons' attacks at all. In the entire biohuman army, there were only 4 existences that could rival a first-order God Emperor. But these 4 biohumans were surrounded by 8 God Emperors from the Dragon Palace. The number of God Emperors in the Dragon Palace was too high. It was almost double the number of their mechanical army. There were not many God Emperors in the mechanical army, and there were many battleships that could contend against God Emperors. However, against the Wind Divine Dragon's powerful agility and speed, these battleships were of little use. Battleships of strategic grade and battleships that could contend against God Emperors were rapidly destroyed. As for the battleships that could contend against second-order God Emperors, they were destroyed by the Heaven Formation. The Heaven Formation was not an ordinary third-order God Emperor realm expert. 1,000,000 devouring dragons were tearing at the mechas and battleships excitedly. Their huge bodies were not any smaller than the mechas and battleships. Their 18 claws could destroy the mechas as long as they got close to them. As for the arrow dragons, They were the natural enemies of these battleships, robots, and mechas. Under the defense of the Imperial Dragon species, they unscrupulously shot and killed. In fact, one of Mao Zedong's arrows could even blow up a mechanical planet. A magical battlefield appeared in the void. Terrifying monsters were rapidly killing all kinds of battleships, and armors. This was a one-sided battle. According to the analysis, the enemy has the ability to suppress us. In at most an hour, all our robots will be destroyed. Warning, evacuate quickly. Evacuate quickly. The Master of Creation looked at all of this, and the calculated data was transmitted to his mind. Chapter 29-28. Conquering the Mechanic Emperor Domain 8-inch Warning. Warning. Evacuate immediately. Evacuate immediately. The urgent warning rang in the creator's mind, causing him to be shocked and furious. The strength of the Dragon Palace was so terrifying. The strength of the Dragon King was so strong. With his current giant body, he wouldn't be afraid even if he were to face an territorial lord or a creator. This body of his had gathered the best treasures and metals in the entire Mechanic Emperor domain. In the core, there were a large number of secret treasures that provided him with energy. However, facing the terrifying speed of the Dragon King, he couldn't put up any resistance. To him, such terrifying speed wasn't something a third-order God Emperor could possess. Run. I can't win. No, I can't just run like this. I must kill a divine dragon. As long as I kill a divine dragon, I can earn back my losses. The creator was calculating in his mind. When he saw the Dragon King attacking him again, he let out a low roar. Boom, boom, boom. On his body, incomparably powerful weapons blasted towards Wuxia. Bullets forged with God Emperor-grade metals, powerful laser weapons, and cannonballs that could easily destroy a dozen planets. Endless energy surged towards Wuxia. Target the Wind Divine Dragons. All mechanical armies, kill a Wind Divine Dragon at all costs. At the same time, he gave an order in his heart. Ka. Kill a divine dragon. Kill, kill, kill. At this moment, all the biohumans, mechanical battleships, and warships on the battlefield suddenly changed their targets and attacked the 9 Wind Divine Dragons in a frenzy. The 9 Wind Divine Dragons that were wreaking havoc were shocked when all the robots on the battlefield suddenly changed their targets. Given their strength, they weren't strong enough to fight against all the mechanical armies here. Ayo phone, be careful. These guys are targeting you. I think they want to kill you. When Prime Minister Turtle saw this scene, he immediately reminded loudly. All Dragon Palace God Emperors, pin down the guys in front of you. Don't let them break free. And attack the Wind Divine Dragons. He roared again. Why are they attacking us so crazily? We can't even kill as many as the Devouring Dragons. A female Wind Divine Dragon shouted softly, expressing her dissatisfaction. Boom, boom, boom. However, in the next moment countless attacks swarmed towards him. Ayo. The Wind Divine Dragon let out a startled roar and dodged to the side. Sky Formation was slightly taken aback when he saw the robot army targeting the 9 Wind Divine Dragons. With a wave of his arm, defensive arrays capable of withstanding a second-order Immortal God King Realm expert flew towards the 9 Wind God Dragons. Roar. Thank you, Sir Celestial Array, for your support. Kill. The 9 Divine Wind Dragons let out a low roar as they sensed the defensive array formation in front of them. Their huge bodies withstood the barrage of countless weapons and charged towards the Warframe mecha one after another. Boom, boom, boom. Their huge claws grabbed onto the fighter jets, causing them to collapse. Damn it. The Master of Creation sensed the information that was being transmitted to him and started to panic. He discovered that the Array Master from the Dragon Palace was extremely powerful. He could not be compared to an ordinary third-order God Emperor realm expert. According to Huang Xiaolong's calculations, a Dragon King and a powerful Formation Master could fight against 5 to 6 third-order Immortal God King realm experts at the same time. How could the Mechanic Emperor domain fight against them? Calculated winning rate is 0. Winning rate is 0. Suggestion to escape. Escape immediately. The notifications kept ringing in the mind of the Master of Creation. As he watched the Dragon King slash through his body easily, he was filled with rage. At this moment, he knew that he was definitely not a match for the Dragon King. At this point he could only escape. I'm not resigned to this. Our mechanic Emperor domain has no feud with the Dragon Palace. Why are you attacking us? The Master of Creation roared at Wuxia furiously. Hee, Master of Creation, don't you find it hilarious to say such words? Wuxia sneered at the Master of Creation. Roar, roar. Wuxia let out a low roar and moved towards the head of the Master of Creation in an instant. Zzz. A pale white aurora shot towards Wuxia from the humongous head of the Master of Creation. However, Wuxia easily dodged this attack. The unbeginning saint wings on his back drew a long scar on his head. The scar went deep into the center of his head. At this moment, the Master of Creation was in a terrible state. Go to hell, Dragon King. All of a sudden, the creator let out an extremely violent roar. His two arms flew out from his body and blasted towards Wuxia. Each arm was the size of a planet. They were forged with powerful metals, and were the culmination of the highest technology in the mechanic Emperor domain. Boom. Boom boom boom. The two arms chased after Wuxia. Flames were emitting from the palms, and were exceptionally terrifying. Wuxia was also vigilant against the desperate attacks of the Master of Creation. Escape. At this moment, a hole appeared on the chest of the Master of Creation. In the hole, there was a mechanical brain. The entire brain was enveloped by the dazzling radiant principle and blue radiant liquid, as it flew out from the body of the Master of Creation. The speed at which it flew out was exceptionally terrifying. Wuxia, who was dodging the attacks of the two humongous arms, sensed something escaping. His eyes narrowed as he stared at the heart. What's that? The core of the Master of Creation? He's trying to escape. Wuxia narrowed his eyes and swayed his body. Unleashing the unbeginning sacred wings to its limits, the dragon claws attacked the two arms in a frenzy. Ka. Sounds of destruction could be heard coming from the arms. Heaven array, let's destroy the Master of Creation together. Wuxia roared immediately. Yes, Dragon King. At this moment, the threat here had been eliminated by the Heaven array. All the warships and weapons that could unleash the power of a second-order god emperor had been destroyed by him. Hearing the order of the Dragon King, the Heaven array did not hesitate and quickly set up an array. Split. Dragon King, be careful. Soon an array was formed. Rays of intersecting light appeared in front of the Master of Creation and attacked the giant body of the Master of Creation. Boom boom boom. The Master of Creation stared at the intersecting light rays and immediately raised a humongous defense to defend against the intersecting light rays. Pung pung pung. The array split landed on the defense of the Master of Creation, causing the metal defense to crack apart gradually. However, the energy of the array split was also depleted. Kill. At this moment, Wuxia charged over and clawed at the head of the Master of Creation. Chapter 29-29. Treasures of the Mechanic Emperor Domain 1. Bam bam bam. The sound of metal cracking was heard. The gigantic head of the Master of Creation was torn apart from the center by Wuxia. Swoosh. At this moment, Wuxia's unparalleled saint wings flapped violently as he dived down through the hole in the head. Ka. Roar. Dragon King, you bunch of damned bastards. I won't let you off. I won't let you off. At this moment, the roar of the Master of Creation was heard from the mechanical heart 10 billion kilometers away. This heart contained his core energy, as well as all of his technological data. As long as he had this heart, he would be able to rise rapidly. Moreover, to prevent such accidents from happening, he had made preparations in advance. Soon, he would be able to recover to his peak. At that time, he would make the Dragon Palace pay the price, invading the Mechanic Emperor domain and annihilating the robots. They would have to bear the consequences. The mechanical heart of the Master of Creation was flying rapidly. Similarly, he could still control the entire mechanical army. But looking at the rapid collapse of the mechanical army, his heart was beating violently. Beep beep beep, the giant's mechanical body has completely collapsed. The robot army only has 33% of its strength left. It is recommended to evacuate quickly. There is a 0.5% chance that 1% of the robot army can escape. Information was transmitted into the consciousness of the Master of Creation, causing his heart to beat violently. Evacuate. He immediately gave an order. The robot army wants to evacuate. Don't let them escape. On the battlefield, the robot army received the orders of the Master of Creation and began to evacuate. Prime Minister Turtle immediately gave the order to chase and kill. The Wind Divine Dragons locked onto the androids that were running away quickly, easily catching up to them and killing them quickly. Sky Formation. At this moment, Wang Xian stood on the giant body of the Master of Creation and shouted at Sky Formation. Dragon King, has the Master of Creation been dealt with? Sky Formation asked immediately. No, something that looks like a core escaped. Lock onto him. Wang Xian shook his head and immediately ordered Sky Formation. Yes, Dragon King. Leave it to me. Even if he is a special life form, I can lock onto him with the information from this body. Sky Formation revealed a confident look. At this moment, the creator had just escaped, so it was extremely easy to find him. The Heavenly Formation immediately set up an array formation on the Master of Creation's giant body, searching for the Master of Creation's location. Buzz! The Dragon King has found it. He's here, more than 130 billion kilometers away from us. Tianjin immediately said. Come, let's chase after them. Prime Minister Turtle, I'll leave this to you. Wang Xian moved and turned into a human figure. With a flap of the unbeginning sacred wings, a gust of wind enveloped the Sky Formation and chased after the creator rapidly. Whoosh! The figures of the two quickly disappeared. Dragon King, that Master of Creation is 3 times slower than us. We can catch up to him in 3 minutes. Tianjin looked at the array formation in front of him and said to Wang Xian, Alright, that creator's core is escaping toward the center of the Mechanic Emperor domain. He should still have some trump cards. Wang Xian's eyes flickered. Given the wisdom of the creator, it's impossible that he didn't leave a way out for himself. I guess he still has his body and strength hidden. If he had directly transferred the information, the array formation wouldn't have been able to lock onto him. However, he didn't and escaped directly. Perhaps the core that he is residing in is very important. Tianjin analyzed. If that's the case, let's follow behind him and see what his trump cards are. Wang Xian squinted his eyes and flew at high speed. Oh no, that Dragon King seems to be chasing after me. I need to change direction. At the same time, the creator received the information from the battlefield and caught sight of Wang Xian and Tianjin chasing after him. He was shocked and quickly changed his direction. At the same time, he immediately searched for all the information about array masters. Based on the records, array masters have powerful means of pursuit. They can track a person's location through their hair and even clothes. Array masters' means of pursuit are exceptionally terrifying. I suggest entering a special environment to erase your aura and shake off the tracking of array masters. Information appeared in the mind of the creator, and he cursed under his breath. Search the star map and search for the special environment of the Mechanic Emperor domain. Fly over immediately. The creator immediately calculated and searched. Great, I'm in luck. There's a special area on the right, a thunderbolt area. My mechanical heart is extremely immune to thunderbolts. The creator thought to himself as he quickly changed his direction. The creator is changing his direction. Dragon King, he should know that we are chasing after him. He should also know about the means of array masters. Tianjin, who was at the back, raised his eyebrows and said when he saw the creator suddenly changing his direction. Don't worry, we'll be able to catch up to him soon. When the time comes, we'll follow behind. Wang Xian squinted his eyes and increased his speed. He entered a thunderbolt area. That area has some effect on my array formation, but it's not a big problem. Tianjin said quickly. I see it. At this time, Wang Xian also saw an area filled with thunderbolts in front of him. The yin-yang 5 elements dragon eyes scanned ahead, and soon saw a blurry figure. Found it. Wang Xian's face lit up and his lips curved. Let's see where you can escape to. It's best if we can completely conceal ourselves. Heavenly Formation said to him. Yes, I also have roving demon's concealment ability. This kind of light and darkness concealment ability can avoid the detection of spell formations and technology. Sky Formation, you go into the nest first. Wang Xian nodded his head slightly. With a shift of his mind, his body gradually turned illusory. Over the next few days, Wang Xian became even more cautious. He unleashed his concealment ability to the maximum and followed behind the creator. Other than occasionally communicating with Prime Minister Turtle, there was nothing else. Later on, Wang Xian even cut off all contact with Prime Minister Turtle and put away all the communication stone plates to prevent any accidents. Ha ha ha, this is awesome. These resources are too much. While Wang Xian, Heavenly Formation, and the rest were chasing after the mechanical heart of the creator, Roving Crab, and the rest of the devouring dragons let out excited roars. Robots, battleships, armors, fighter aircrafts, and mechanical planets were all resources for the devouring dragons to improve. An hour after Wang Xian and the rest left, all the robots were slain. Next, it was time for Roving Crab and the rest to celebrate. The Mechanic Emperor's domain was different from the other domains. The resources in the other domains were very scattered. However, the resources in the Mechanic Emperor's domain were all concentrated in the hands of the robots and the creator. How many billions of years worth of treasures would there be in the entire star region? And if all these treasures were used to create robots, how terrifying would they be? One could imagine, just by looking at those mechanical planets. What kind of massive amount of resources would it take to create a war planet with powerful metals? There were also the hundreds of billions of robots. One had to know that even the weakest of the robots had the strength of a god master. There were also over 1 million god kings. In addition, there were the huge battleships that could rival a god emperor's battleships, mechas, and fighter aircrafts. Most importantly, there was the giant body of the creator. The entire giant body had been modified into a biological metal that possessed the destructive power of a void god emperor. How many treasures had been used to create such a huge body? There was another very important point. How many resources would be used to create a robot with the combat power of a god king? A human god king expert might have cultivated for tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, or even millions of years to reach such a realm. They might have used all sorts of treasures and absorbed the spiritual energy of heaven and earth to reach such a realm. But robots could not cultivate or absorb the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. If they wanted to improve, they could only rely on all sorts of resources. This also meant that the resources contained in the bodies of robots were 10 times, or more than what an ordinary God King expert could convert with his God nation. In layman terms, the energy contained in a First-Order God King realm robot was 10 times, or more than a First-Order God King expert. A robot corpse could fight against 10 human corpses of the same level. That was how terrifying it was. This was the reason why Roving Crab and the group of devouring dragons were so excited. To the devouring dragon race, the improvement this time wasn't just 1 or 2 times, but 10 times or more. TSK. Roving Crab has really struck it rich this time. Crazy. Even if we annihilate the region of evil spirits in the future, we won't be as powerful as the devouring dragon. Yamada Demonsha and the rest said enviously. Even Mao Zedong, Aochi and Roving Heavens were envious. This time, the devouring dragon was going crazy. Soon, the strength of the devouring dragon could crush all the other dragon species in the Dragon Palace. 2 months after Wang Xian chased after the creator with the heavenly formation, excited roars of breakthroughs could be heard from the battlefield. At the location of the giant body of the creator, Roving Crab was still devouring energy and depleting it rapidly. As the body of the creator, how could it possess such a huge amount of resources? Currently, Roving Crab and 9 devouring dragons were digesting the body of the creator. Perhaps it wouldn't take long for them to possess the strength of a third-order God Emperor. Today, Chapter 8 has ended. Chapter 2931. Prime Minister Turtle, the devouring dragons have improved tremendously this time. Our Dragon Palace has produced many Emperor gods. Around the battlefield of the Mechanic Emperor domain, the 500,000 troops of the Dragon Palace guarded the perimeter. The Emperor gods of the Dragon Palace gathered together. They looked enviously at the devouring dragons devouring the mechanical army, and asked Prime Minister Turtle, "The improvement this time is terrifying. This is the accumulation of the entire Mechanic Emperor domain over billions of years." However, the Dragon King sent me a message, saying that he might not be able to contact him for the time being. The Dragon King is now following the Creator. According to the Dragon King, the Creator still has a trump card. Prime Minister Turtle said with a smile, "The Creator still has a trump card? It can't be. Doesn't that mean that the Mechanic Emperor domain still has a lot of resources?" Emosha couldn't help but ask. As an existence that has ruled this region for billions of years, how can he not have any special trump cards? I guess the Creator still has a secret base that he kept as a backup. Prime Minister Turtle nodded. Doesn't that mean that Roving Crab and the rest will get more resources? Orochi and the rest couldn't help but ask. Something like that. Prime Minister Turtle said plainly, "Roving Crab and the rest are going to counterattack. Once these fellows level up, we'll make them our coolies." That's right. Let them help us look for resources. I'm really jealous now. The Emperor gods of the Dragon Palace exclaimed. They guarded the perimeter to prevent anyone from disturbing the devouring dragon's improvement. In the center of the Mechanic Emperor domain, Wang Xian continued to follow the extremely cautious Creator with a black face. Time passed day by day, while the Dragon Palace was conquering the Mechanic Imperial domain. The Colored Glaze region, which was located at the location of the Lioli region, had been preparing for a counterattack after 2 months. 2 months ago, the Dragon Palace invaded the Mechanic Emperor domain and resolved the crisis in the Lioli domain. The domain master led the evacuated soldiers back to the center of the Lioli domain. This matter caused an uproar in the entire Lioli domain. However, in these 2 months, the army of the Lioli domain gathered and 3 emperor gods from the sacred region came to help. After 2 months of investigation and gathering all kinds of information, the Lioli domain was prepared to attack the demons in the Devil region. They would kill all the demons that entered the Lioli domain and hide in a territory that didn't belong to the Lioli domain. This was not a small matter. After all, they had decided to kill more than 10 god emperors and evil beasts. After 2 months of preparation, countless experts and soldiers gathered in a starry sky near the demon region of Lioli region. On a battle platform that stretched for tens of billions of kilometers, the elites of the entire Lioli region gathered. This time, our goal is to annihilate all the demons in the Lioli domain. Leave none alive. In the meeting room in the center of the fighting ring, there were a total of 31 emperor gods sitting inside, including the 3 emperor gods from the sanctuary. The leader of the domain lord said to all the celestial emperors with a cold expression, "The sudden invasion of the demons from the Chi-Mei region caught the Colored Glaze region off guard, and 5 of their emperor gods had perished. Moreover, the humans on more than a dozen planets were hunted by the demons. This time, they were preparing to counterattack and exterminate all the invading demons. Yes, Region Lord, if it weren't for the Mechanic Emperor region intentionally pressuring us, we would have been able to slaughter our way into the demon region with our strength. Kill all the demons and take revenge for Brother Shui and the rest. Region Lord, with our strength, killing the invading emperor gods and evil beasts will be a piece of cake. I suggest we attack the demon region and kill those demons and evil beasts." That's right. Take revenge for our fallen soldiers. The emperor gods from the Colored Glaze region roared with murderous intent. Let's get rid of the demons and evil beasts that invaded our Colored Glaze region first. The region lord leaned back on the chair and said faintly, "Region Lord, if the Dragon Palace can really wipe out or even severely injure the Mechanic Emperor region, I think we can attack the demon region and make those beasts pay the price." A emperor god from the Colored Glaze region said coldly, "Oh yes, Region Lord. How's the situation at the Dragon Palace?" "It's been 2 months, and there's no news at all." The Supreme First Elder couldn't help but ask. "There's still no news about the Dragon Palace." I just sent a message to the Dragon King, but there's no reply. The region lord replied and glanced around. This time, we'll take care of the demons and evil beasts in our region first. As for those outside the region, we'll act according to the situation. After all, the demon region has been in turmoil recently. Now, order all the soldiers to get ready to move out. We'll make those beasts pay with their blood. Yes, Region Lord. Yes, the Region Lord gave the order, and all the experts and core disciples of the entire Colored Glaze region started moving. They charged towards the demons and evil beasts, mobilizing the power of the Colored Glaze region. Dealing with those demons and evil beasts was naturally a piece of cake. In the next few days, the Colored Glaze region received many reports of victory. In just half a month, the Colored Glaze region killed 8 Emperor God-level demons, and countless other levels of demons and evil beasts. Demon lairs were destroyed one after another, and not a single demon escaped.